It had been years since Hank's wisp shone blue. He sat hunched over his breakfast, staring blankly at the yellow orb hovering in front of him. He knew that it didn't draw out anyone's sympathy, it just made everyone ignore him. The color was meant to show that he wanted things to change for the better, but people could only see the reason why. Reluctantly, he got up and went outside. He had a job to get to that day, and his boss already didn't take kindly to him because of that yellow wisp. He looked around as he walked through the street. Everyone else's wisps were wonderful shades of blues and greens. These were people who held on to their goodness and never did anything worthy of real regret. Hank glanced at a family walking along the other side of the road. The two toddlers in the stroller each had a tiny white wisp hanging close to them. Work today was no different. Nothing but a mountain of paperwork that had been delegated to him by coworkers who didn't want the extra weight. Either that, or they were silently expressing their distaste for him. He didn't say a word about it to anyone, as if they'd listen. He just did the work and didn't bat an eye. During break time, he watched the news on the old TV they had hanging in the corner of the break room. Not much happened, mainly just reports on the weather. There was never any big talk about crimes, since everyone who committed such an act would be ratted out by the light of a red wisp. Hank thought back to the time his wisp turned yellow. If his morals hadn't been where they were, his wisp could easily have turned red instead. A sound like cracking glass made him whip around. His yellow wisp had developed a new messy seam. Hank slumped in his chair and sighed. At the end of the day, he walked home alone. No taxi nor bus would take him because of the wisp. He'd sometimes wonder if someone with a yellow wisp ever went back to blue or green. Given what the color meant, it wasn't likely. He arrived at his apartment and was immediately deterred by the light of a pink wisp. He knew only one person who had one and would have business waiting for him at his own home. Screw her, he thought. I'm sleeping in the alley tonight if she doesn't leave. Hank turned around, but she caught him. Hey, it's been a while. Her irritating voice beamed from behind him. She didn't have a voice that could shatter glass, but it always shattered his peace of mind. He turned around to see the face of his ex-wife. I thought I told you not to come here, he growled at her. But I missed you, Hank. Diane tugged at his arm to pull him closer. He shook her off. Yeah, I bet you said that to your last boyfriend and the one before that. He tried to keep his voice down, but it was hard not to scream at her. He glanced at her wisp as it slowly hovered toward his. He smacked it away, and Diane tensed in pain as her wisp bobbed too far away for a moment before returning. What the hell, Hank? She shouted, tightening her brow. I thought you'd be happy to see me after so long. Hank laughed. Oh yeah, right. Have you noticed what color your wisp is? Or do you not know that pink means, hey everyone, this person cheated on her husband and would do it again? He shouldered past her and fumbled for the key to his apartment room. And you think yellow means you're innocent? Diane scolded him. At least let me stay with you. You and I know each other best. I do know you. Hank didn't look at her. That's why I am telling you to go find a dumpster to crawl into. He opened the door and stepped inside. Diane tried to force her way in. Let me in, damn it! The light of Hank's wisp flashed orange as he shoved her out. Get out! Don't ever come near me again. Don't even say my name. Go find some rich boy to mooch off of. He slammed the door and quickly locked it. He inspected his wisp, still yellow. Good. If it turned red or even orange, then all hope would truly be lost. Hank spent the next few minutes listening to his ex-wife's shouts from outside the door. He didn't care about what she said, he just wanted her to leave. She eventually did when the neighbors came out to chase her off. He stepped away from the door just before someone knocked. He didn't want to talk to anyone tonight. Are you all right in there? That was Bianca's voice. She was Hank's next-door neighbor, who he helped occasionally with a few chores. He usually liked talking to her, but wasn't in the mood after seeing his ex. Hank pushed his wisp and hid it behind his back. He fastened the chain on the door and undid the main lock to open it, so he and Bianca could see each other through the crack. Her bright green eyes met his through the tight opening, highlighted by the light of her equally green wisp. Are you okay? Wow, she must have really done something bad to deserve all that. I assume you saw her wisp? Hank responded. Bianca laughed. Right, stupid question. Does she come around often? Maybe you should get a restraining order against her. Bianca knew about the color of his wisp. He really couldn't hide it when he helped carry her groceries inside or fixed her sink, but he still didn't like when people could see it. He especially didn't want her to see the cracks covering it. You know they won't help a yellow Bianca. Bianca opened her mouth to say something, then snapped her lips shut and stepped back. You were going to ask what I did, weren't you? Bianca stuttered. I'm sorry. That would have been rude. I'm just going to... She fumbled her words as she turned to leave. Hank wanted to stop her and say something, but decided it was best not to. Hopefully, the awkwardness would be gone when he drove her to her doctor's appointment on Thursday. He closed the door and turned back into his apartment. He let his wisp go, and it hovered sadly in the air in front of him. It slowly rotated, as if to show off his despair to himself. Then he saw the new crack that had formed on its surface earlier that day. A faint green light gleamed along its edge. It hadn't been there before speaking to Bianca. Hope sparked to life deep inside. Maybe it was possible to move on.